Associate head coach Chris Bracey joins the show to tell us why this year could be a tipping point for the Wisconsin Badgers women's basketball team.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Today's episode brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. Fantastic guest joining the show. We waste no time. Associate head coach Chris Bracey jumps on. Coach Bracey, associate head coach, joining us, women's basketball, Wisconsin. So excited for this opportunity to talk to you, Coach. I want to start here. You've been with Coach P for a while. She comes over to Wisconsin. What made that the right move for you to come kind of join her on this staff and this journey?
I mean, Coach P, just who she is as a person. You know, she is a phenomenal leader. You know, she knows how to empower her coaches. She inspires you. I love how she does things and her philosophies. She's a person whose faith, family, career, in that order. And that aligns with kind of my values. And, you know, in this profession, you're spending a lot of time together, right? This is every day. This is long hours. So you have to be with somebody that you align with. Otherwise, it just doesn't work and doesn't make sense. So when Coach P got this opportunity to come to Wisconsin, it was a no-brainer for me. I had already been working with her for 7 years prior to that. I was excited about the opportunity to take on a new journey with her.
Let me ask you this from the outside looking in, because you've been in and around the sport for a long time. You played professionally overseas. You've been at Mizzou for a long time. You've coached high school. From the outside looking in, what was your perception of Wisconsin women's basketball before you got here?
Honestly, how can we get them on the schedule? Like we were always trying to play Wisconsin in the non-con because it was a Power 5 situation where we felt confident that we were going to be able to get a win, you know, and we never did get them on the schedule at Mizzou. But, you know, that was the mindset. We knew that they were in a great league, but we also were used to them not having success.
Did you ever find that strange, or maybe in your journey to Wisconsin ever just stop and wonder why hasn't this clicked? Because you and I were talking before the show. Wisconsin supports women's sports tremendously well, from volleyball to hockey. It's great in-state talent. Madison's a great school. You mentioned you're in the Big Ten. Why hasn't it, just in your opinion, it clicked at Wisconsin?
So I never found it strange before I got here because I just didn't spend that much energy thinking about it. But like now that I'm here and I understand Madison, I understand the state of Wisconsin. It is a really bizarre to me that it's been a struggle for women's basketball because of what you said. Like this city, this state empowers women and they get behind women's sports. You know, volleyball is a great example. Women's hockey is a great example. Women's basketball just doesn't have that support. And it's a really bizarre situation. And this city is just waiting, Ryan. They're like waiting for a good women's basketball product, and they will get behind it. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that probably go into the lack of success over the years. The one thing that I think we found as a staff that we've noticed is the top players in the state of Wisconsin have been going out of the state. And I don't know the exact data on this, but I think Addie Shepley was like the highest ranked recruit in a long time for the women's basketball program. Like I don't want to misquote it, but maybe it was 15 years or since the early 2000s. So, and then it's just like, all right, why does that happen? Is it because, you know, the best players, you know, like feel like Wisconsin's not good, so they leave? But then, like, how are you ever going to get good if you never give it a shot? So I just think that it got to the point where the expectation was so low that the in-state kids, the top ones, didn't really trust the experience. So I think that that's a major factor in it, and there's probably a ton of other things that go into it. Because I will say this: there's been a lot of good coaches over the years here. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and be like Wisconsin just never had good coaches. Like, great coaches here. A lot goes into it, but it's definitely a head scratcher that it's been such a challenge to be successful here.
Is there anything that is missing? Like, is there something you kind of talked about a little bit already, but is there something specific where you guys came in and said, we got to fix this right away outside of the in-state talent maybe leaving, whether it's a facilities thing, like a resources thing? Is there anything that you guys kind of isolated?
Not really. That's what's so bizarre about it. Like, coming from the SEC, I was there with Coach B for 7 years. I want to say that the Kohl, and I'll say this: I love the University of Missouri. I love the city of Columbia. I love the people there. I have a lot of great relationships. SEC basketball, a ton of respect for. But I'll say this: the Kohl Center blows Mizzou Arena out of the water. It's just a better facility. Why? The Kohl Center is a one-stop shop for everything you need. Like, your academic needs are met in the Kohl Center. Your training table, where the athletes eat, are met. Those needs are met in the Kohl Center. The weight room, which is standard in most arenas, and your athletic training facility is standard and all of that. But those things, the training table, the academics, you come to the Kohl Center and you don't have to leave if you don't want to. That's a special situation, So the facilities, they're in place. The city is amazing. It's exceeded my expectations. Like, I had been to Madison one time prior to when we took over the job. And I was a young teenager. I might have been 17. So I was just kind of in and out. Like, I wasn't really soaking it all in, didn't have a lot of memory of it. This is an amazing city from the lakes, like having two lakes in between campus is you don't even feel like you're in the Midwest. And then you got, being the capital, you just have resources in terms of restaurants, entertainment. So it's, again, like, it's a situation where you have good facilities, you have a great city, a great college town. So it was really challenging to find, like, oh, I get it. That's why we've been struggling, because, well, maybe there's nothing to do in this town. So, like, when you have the recruits come in, it's like, it's a hard sell. So none of that is the case here. So that's why I go back to, is like, how do you keep the best players in the state of Wisconsin to stay home? Well, we got an opportunity because we're coming in and we're acknowledging that, first of all, and I'm sure maybe every coach might have done the same, but we're acknowledging that that's been a major challenge. And then I think we spend a lot of time on connecting with the coaches and the people, the grassroots people in the state. And we share with them our vision and why we think this can be not the same old thing. So that's kind of the space we've been in. But no, when we got here, Ryan, there was not like, okay, I get it, this is why it's a struggle. It was more the, damn, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why has it been so long since, we've been successful?
Let me tell you about our tremendous friends over at Indeed. And you're all busy at work. You got chaos and deadlines and clients and deliverables, and oh my gosh, and we have to hire somebody. Stop. Help me, please. Have you ever been in like a Lego bin and you're trying to find the right Lego piece? Because my kids have Legos, and you just can't find the right piece. And there's good pieces in there, but none of them fit what you're actually trying to do. That's what Indeed Sponsored Jobs is here to help you with. It's going to find the right fit and take that off your plate, because you got enough workplace chaos going on. People are finding quality hires right now on Indeed sponsored jobs. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sometimes the biggest difference is just finding the right piece, the right person. And I think that's why Coach P, Coach Bracey make a ton of sense for the Wisconsin Badgers program, this Wisconsin women's team that is going to start moving forward. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, and more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Yeah, it's great context. Let me ask you this. How do you want this team to win? Because you can't be good at everything. So last year, it felt like from the outside looking in and watching the games, this team was shooting more threes, playing a little faster, trying to be more efficient on offense. What is the team's identity if it works the way you guys hope it does?
Well, there is two sides to it, right? Defense and offense. Offensively, our identity is going to be to play really fast. We kind of look at offense as, 3 or 4 buckets. Our biggest bucket is going to be the transition attack. We want to be in that space as much as possible when the defense is most disorganized before they get set. So to do that, right, you have to be in really good shape. Your strength and conditioning needs to be on point. So we spend the most of our time in that space right now. Okay, the next biggest bucket for us is what we call our flow offense. Okay, and all that is actions that merge our transition and attack with our half court. So we just want to be really, really good at creating an advantage while the defense is transitioning into balance, if that makes sense. So that flow space, we call it, like you're not always going to be able to get your layup and your rim run and your three in transition, but how quickly can we get an advantage without having to set something up, which allows the defense to set up and prepare. So that the transition attack, biggest bucket, flow offense, second biggest bucket. Third bucket, okay, is what we call our AACs. That's our after action concepts. Okay. And that means after that flow, after we merge, right, and we don't get a shot off of that initial action, what happens next, right? And that's what we call our AACs. And that's a conceptual concept of essentially moving the ball, moving people, and having great spacing. And we try to do that organically and training them how to play off of each other and create and explore advantages. So we got our transition attack, our flow, our AACs, right? When we're not connected in that space, because it, as a coach, as a coaching staff, it requires you to kind of release some control, right? You got to develop your players to where they can create and be comfortable to exploit advantages, right? But when that connection is not as sharp, that's when we're in our target sets or our formations. Okay. And that's more pattern based, where, the ball's going to a certain place and it's more a memorization sequence than connecting dots. But we want to be in the connecting dot space. So that's kind of how we look at it. So, and again, to sum all that up, like our offensive identity is going to be to play fast. That's probably, if you're going to take away one thing from this, is we're going to play fast. Okay. Yes, we're going to shoot and make a lot of threes. Anyone who knows Coach P knows that she's always the top of the league in 3-point shooting, whether it's the SEC, the Big Ten. That's what we do. We always are going to have shooters. What I think we're going to be better at this year is paint presence. And when you have a paint presence, that means you get more threes. And a lot of people don't understand that, but the paint presence gives you the threes. So again, play really fast. Our philosophy is inside out, and inside out can look different. Like in this year, it's not just going to be getting the ball into a post to get a paint touch. It's going to be attacking from the perimeter, collapsing the defense, spraying it out for threes. So again, really fast offensively. Defensively, same thing. I want to play with greater pace. I want to play with greater pace than we did last year. We want to be up on transition, right? So make or miss, we call it crashing. A common term of this philosophy is called tagging. I don't know if have you ever heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we dabbled in it last year. I feel like we have the pieces to really be good at it this year. But so basically, we're sending all 5 to the glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're sending all 5 to the glass. We're not sending anybody back. But the key to that is we're trying to train our players to where we're driving their player into the paint. And then from there, we're getting long rebounds or reacting off of that rather than running past them. Because if we're running past them, then we're not between them and the basket. So made or miss, we trying to be up because we want to play more possessions than we did last year. We want to be really aggressive. So that's what I would say. Aggressive offensively, a lot of transition, aggressive defensively. So
there's so much I want to nerd out on right now that we're not
nerd out. Let's nerd out.
I'm not gonna be able to get to all of it. That's gonna kill me. First of all, I was able to see you guys practice the open practice, and I saw you working on that specifically, sending to the glass, communicating, because you have to have great communication if you're gonna do that type of thing. Let me go back to offense for a second. One of the things I thought I saw you guys working on was kind of very quick decision making when you're talking about your going from transition to flow to your being connected, spacing. It looked like almost a 0.5, like a 1 second pass, shoot, dribble type of a decision making matrix. How hard is that to drill that into your players where they're not holding the ball, dribbling uselessly a couple times? It takes a lot to kind of get players to that. And then I think you hit on the other thing I think is really interesting. You have to be egoless as a coach to play this type of system because you can't have control of everything. Is that a difficult thing as a coach?
It was, but I think where I've grown as a coach and where our staff has grown is understanding what you said about the ego and not having to have all the answers and really reflecting on how people learn. And I think for a long time coaching, I felt like it had to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I think now I'm confident that that's not the best way to learn in a sport. For one, we want to, I'm really big on behavior and action versus what you say. So like every coach, you're going to hear them say, I want an environment where it's okay to fail, right? We're all going to say that, but I'm more into the action. What are you doing to create that environment? So that being said, what we're really big on is allowing our athletes to explore and struggle through a process to learn versus, okay, we got to go 1 on O, then we got to go on a cone. Then we got to get you really, really comfortable so you don't mess up, and then we'll try it. Like that's not how we move. So again, you have to create an environment where decisions are being made, right? Like if the majority of our time, our players are doing things where they're not making decisions, we're slowing their growth down. Now, that's hard as a coach because you know what, that can get very sloppy. Mm-hmm. And then you leave there like, dang, dude, we're bad coaches. Look how bad that looked. No, that's not how it is. If it looks clean, something ain't right. I'm telling you. So when we prepare in that space, we're constantly thinking of ways to stress them out through their learning and to force them to make decisions. And it's really hard because I'm telling you, Ryan, you will leave there, especially early on, before it starts clicking, like, yo, I don't know, man. Maybe we just need to reverse this and, left, right, layup. Let's just drill this. So it takes some courage. It takes some, really looking at your ego But we spend most of our time in that space of teaching them how to explore and problem solve, because all the game is small little problems, right? And all life is like, to me, the most successful people in this world know how to problem solve. You ain't got to know all the math, all the science, all the whatever. The best skill you can have is you can take a problem and break it down and solve it, and have the confidence to do that. And the only way you train that is by problem solving daily in every drill. And so we spend a lot of time in that space of creating an environment where there's chaos and they learn through it.
Go back to year one for you guys. What about year one do you think was successful? And when you look back at it, is there something you wish you would have done differently, or maybe approached differently?
Yeah, I would say that for sure there is. Like there's no way we're batting 1,000 and did everything perfect. What I would say is that I think first I'll say what I'm really proud about, and I'm proud of the connection we were able to build in that year one with 15 new players, and the belief that we were able to instill in that locker room. I'm proud that we lost, I think, 10 games in a row in the Big Ten, and no one went on their own island. And I'm not even making this up to sound good on a podcast, but we never divided as a team. And I think that's really uncommon. I think after your 5th, 6th, 7th loss in a row, somebody starts pointing fingers. That never happened, right? So I'm really proud about the connection that we were able to build with 15 new players where nobody came in knowing the standard. What would I do differently? I don't know. That's a hard one, man. I'm gonna have to come back to that one because nothing's jumping out to me, Ryan, and I haven't really spent a lot of time in that space of what I would do differently. But I'll let you know if something comes back to me on that. But I do know that I'm really proud of the thing I'm most proud of is the connection that I think we were able to build collectively with an entirely new unit.
A bunch more coming up with the great coach Bracey. But first, have you heard about our incredible friends over at Kalshi? Before the NFL season even kicks off, people are going to be making their predictions. You are. I am. We both know it. Let's not lie to each other. What makes it so special on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, is you can trade those predictions in a live market. Think about the Packers, right? If you are all in on the Packers winning 10 plus games this year, that is currently trading at 55%, meaning a $100 trade pays out at $179.40 if they reach that 10 plus wins mark. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in or out of your position. Trade the draft, pick the game, and more on Kalshi. Download Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. That's KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risks and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, value, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Today's episode also brought to you by our great friends over at Odoo. Running a business sometimes shouldn't be this hard, trying to connect a bunch of different things together. You have systems for accounting and another for inventory, another for sales, another for CRM and marketing. It's like little octopus arms everywhere going crazy, and you're trying to corral them and tie them in and Velcro them in and put them on your back and bring them together. You like low key bringing all the time strands together and holding it in. It shouldn't be this hard. ladies and gentlemen. Like, run your business without having all these different systems. That's where Odoo comes in. The best organizations know that success, it's not just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same doggone goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. I think these hires on the women's side for the basketball program are big. And it's about getting everybody pushing in that direction, the portal additions, the culture. That's why they're going to win. That's why they're going to be better. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon today. That's a great answer. How long does it take to find your footing? I know I talked to Coach P about this early on in her season last year. Does it take 6 months to find your footing in a new place, to understand the culture? You said early on in this show, I kind of get Wisconsin now. I'm paraphrasing what you said, but how long did that take?
That took at least probably half a season, because my first 3 months here, I spent in a hotel downtown by the Capitol. So that was like one experience. Like, my family wasn't here. I got a wife and 3 kids. So I kind of established a routine and was finding my footing. And then, boom, it was time to buy a house. So that was like a reset, So now I'm like attacking this transition from a new lens now. Like, I'm in 30 minutes away from the Kohl Center now. I got my family here. I'm buying a new property. So I think it was more the external things that were happening in my life that, forced me to gradually transition. And I think about halfway through that season, we were feeling like, the kids were settled. They were liking school. They were no longer upset about not being Missouri Tiger fans.
Mm-hmm.
So everything just started seeming a little bit more normal about halfway through.
Let's talk this off season. Bunch of new, again, you talked about last year. You were introducing and getting used to 15 new players for you and your staff and Coach P's staff. This year, you bring in a bunch of portal players, a couple really interesting high school recruits, 3 of them from the state of Wisconsin. I want to start with Addie Deal, just because she is a player that generated some headlines, former 5-star player. What was that process like? And has anything about her game surprised you?
Nothing's really surprised me, because we do a pretty good job of like understanding who we're bringing in their skill sets. That process was actually really smooth. And it wasn't one of those situations that drag, like with the transfer portal in itself becomes a quicker, expedited process than obviously high school, but it happened quick. It was, as the portal does, when she got in, obviously we had played against her. So we had a really good idea of kind of who she was as a player. So we just got on it day one. Made a connection, kind of shared our vision, and we're able to get her on campus. And from there, it's one of those things that, like, when you're recruiting a kid, like, there's different levels of connection that you can have on a visit. And Addie Deal was one of those kids that, if you know what I mean, just from the jump, it just felt like a good fit. And we really uncovered kind of everything, our plans for her, how we were going to develop her, our style of play, our culture, everything like that. And it like I said, it did not become a dragged out process of, well, I want to go see, 4 or 5 other schools and this and that. And I think that made us even appreciate getting Addie Deal even more, because obviously she's such a high caliber player. But the fact that, like, she knew what she wanted and needed, and that goes a long way. So it was a really, really smooth process. Her family's great. Our visions were aligned. And again, we're just super excited that she chose to be a Badger, and I think she's going to help us move the needle.
Offensively, what does she kind of specifically bring to you guys. I think when I was able to watch practice a little bit, but also watch some film of her last year, it looks like 3-level scoring. I kind of like her ability to get in the paint. Obviously, she came into college as a shooter. Maybe she didn't shoot it quite as well as she thought, or as people thought she would at Iowa, but it feels like there's a pretty high offensive ceiling there.
Yeah, I would agree. 3-level scorer, big guard, very strong, very shifty. Obviously, she can shoot the ball, but something that you didn't see that much at Iowa was her ability to get to the paint, with limited minutes. But she's a kid that is a really good off-ball cutter. So she understands spacing, so that's going to fit right into our conceptual offense. But again, her ability to shoot the three opens up other areas for her to attack, and she's really good and physical when she's attacking, which is an area that we really, really need to get better at, is getting to the free throw line. So she's going to be able to do that for us. She's confident. She's a kid that understands how, her skill sets and high IQ. That's the thing. Like coming, like going into year 2 now, and having a foundation established and getting to be a little bit more choosy in the portal. We were able to, get a kid like Addie Deal who fits right into conceptual basketball.
And then another big get this offseason, Caia Rose, point guard coming in. Exceptional season last year, conference player of the year. What does she give you as a point guard, and kind of this transition flow offense? Feels like she could be really big for you.
Yeah, she has an elite speed and strength and explosiveness. So she's a kid who it's going to be really hard to keep her out of the paint if you're on defense. And one of the things Caia does so well is she gets it and goes. And so she's going to go get 2 feet in the paint under the rim. And she's obviously can score the ball. We see that through statistics, but she won't need to score as much as she did coming from Chattanooga. So, but she has the ability to do it. So if defense doesn't want to collapse, she can go all day because she's strong. She's going to seek contact. She's going to bounce defenders off, and she'll finish. Okay. Otherwise, defense is going to have to collapse, and she's going to really, create a lot of shots for our shooters. So really, really excited about her. Love Ronnie Porter and everything that she's done for the program. She's a phenomenal PG, a dog. She's got so much heart, and so appreciative of what Ronnie's done over the last 4 years, and especially what she's done with us. I would say her and Caia are different guards. Both have the ability to, distribute and facilitate. What Caia brings that maybe Ronnie, wasn't Ronnie's strength, was the ability to get a piece of the paint. So I think that really changes our transition.
Is there I apologize. You let me know when you need to go, by the way, like blink twice if you feel like you're being held hostage. I could nerd out and talk hoops with you all day. I'm curious.
Hey, there's 2 things that I love about my job, and that's like being on the court, either training or practice, or talking hoops. A lot of my job isn't even talking basketball. So this is what's up.
I love it, man. How do you replace the leadership? So you mentioned Porter. I wasn't even going to talk about Ronnie, but I had Ronnie on the show last year. Love her game. Culture player, came back. How do you replace that leadership? Obviously, we talked about Caia on the floor. Do you naturally need to look at that point guard as the leader, or is that leadership maybe going to come from somewhere else along with Caia?
Yeah, everybody has the ability to lead. Like we weren't even a team last year that had like one leader, like we're really big on, like I said, I think I mentioned this either on the show or before, but on our foundation and our shared beliefs on how we'll move. And I don't think of it as like who's gonna, replace anyone that left. I think that we have a bunch of like-minded players that are all buying into a common goal, and we haven't established a captain yet. And I don't know that we will. Like maybe we will, but and we didn't last year. And I think it's just, again, for one, understanding our code of behaviors. How do we move on a daily basis? And it's holding each other to that collectively, and that's where we spend our time. And we have protocol for that because we realize that it's not going to be perfect, right? Like you're going to be below the standard at times, but we have protocol for that. We train in that space of conflict resolution. And so I'm not really worried about leadership or who's taking what role. That might naturally reveal itself. It hasn't yet in the summer. Like everyone's just kind of rowing in the same direction. But like I said, we're really focused on just all of us kind of buying into the same behaviors and values, which I think we're doing a really good job of.
When I was at practice, there was several players that obviously stood up, but I was watching your new portal center, Kadidia Toure, and I'm like, man, they might have something here. Not that you don't have something here anywhere else, right? But I'm like, this is a 6'3" kid. She shoots really fluidly. She moves well. It looks like she has a feel, like she can pass the ball. That feels like a big-time piece that maybe people aren't talking about enough, Coach.
Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and say this, and I've coached a lot of talented people. KT might be the most well-rounded, most talented kid that I've coached. And I say that because she, like you said, she's 6'3" and she's strong. Okay, right? So that's not terribly uncommon, 6'3" and strong. But her ability to, for one, to see advantages and create advantages, her ability to pass is uncommon at that size. Her ability to dribble is uncommon, and her ability to shoot the three. So it's hard to even call her a big because she's honestly a guard, and because she's 6'3" and strong, other teams' fives are going to guard her, or they're going to switch. But so she gets lumped in that space, but she might be, I think she's probably the most talented player that I've coached. And I've coached a decent amount of talent, like Sophie Cunningham, so yeah, really special kid. And she's a kid that is continuing to make you scratch your head. Like, did you just see that? Like she'll get a rebound and she'll push the break like a point guard, and she's very explosive. So we're not talking about a big waddle and down. Like she's pushing like a point guard. And unless you're in the WNBA, you're not seeing that. College centers, even in this league, have no idea what to do with that. It's just so uncommon of a skill. So
it feels like her ability to rim run with how you guys want to play, her ability to space the floor with how you want to play, to make quick decisions. It all just seems like a perfect fit for what you're looking for. I guess my question is, I look back at her last year. She shot 34% from three. Is the key just getting her to shoot the ball more? I mean, it's almost one of those things where there's some players that the Badgers basketball team several years ago had Steven Crowell, who shot really well as a big five, but he just didn't shoot enough. Is that the key to unlocking her?
No, that's not even it. Because she averaged 20 and whatever, 12. So like she can get it up. Like that ain't even it. She's got a killer mindset. So the key is for her to maximize her potential has nothing to do with basketball, right? It has everything to do with you're on a different stage now. And there are some things that have nothing to do with basketball that you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone in if you're going to reach your potential. Like Kadidia naturally is a quiet person, right? Like she's not, we talk about our communication in levels. So you got level 1 being poor level 2 below average, level 3 average, level 4 above, and level 5 championship. And KT has been really successful moving in the space of a level 2, and the level 2 is good enough to have her impact and turn some heads, but it ain't good enough for her to reach her potential. So really the key for KT is training her to play like a professional, because that's her skill set can get her in that room, but the intangibles will allow her to stay. So we're no worries about her shooting more or her she can get a shot off whenever she wants, and she knows it. What the thing that really makes her special is her IQ and her understanding of the game. So really excited about her. It's one of those things like diamond in the rough. Like, I know it's a cliche, but I really think she is. Like, how are you at Long Island?
Yeah.
And that's nothing against Long Island, but when you see a kid like that, and it's just like, I just love her journey, and then she's now here, and
I'm excited for her, man. She stood out in practice. Easy. If you had walked into the gym and didn't know anything about the roster of the team, if you didn't know anything about basketball, you'd walk by. That kid's good, right? She stood out in a very good way. I was very intrigued by that. Another player that I thought had a really good practice, and honestly, you look at the offseason additions, Teagan Mallegni, it's Mallegni, right? Mallegni is that how you pronounce it?
Mallegni.
Coming over from Iowa, former in-state kid, good size. I thought she played really well in the practice we were able to see. Skill set, can shoot, has size, pretty athletic, fluid. What are you guys getting with Teagan?
Let me tell you something about Teagan. She might be one of the most respected transfer kids that we've got in terms of other coaches, me talking to other coaches on the road recruiting. Like, the amount of coaches that come up to me and say, dude, like, y'all got a great one in Teagan. Like, I love that kid. Like, we recruited her so hard in high school. So mad she chose Iowa. Like, just the amount of coaches that have respect for this kid was like, it was unbelievable. Like, she, out of all the transfers we've received, has gotten the most, like, just praise from my colleagues. And I think it just goes back to how talented Teagan is and what she was able to do in high school. And for whatever reason, that didn't come to fruition at Iowa yet, in her time there. But she is just a very strong, big guard that can shoot the hell out of the ball, and extremely high IQ. There's just the Big Ten has no idea what she's capable of, and that's the cool thing about it, So, Iowa has a great program, and they've had a lot of success, and for whatever reasons, Teagan, did not showcase what she's capable of doing. And we're just going to try to create an environment where she has that opportunity to do that. But yeah, I was super amazed by the amount of coaches that were giving Teagan her flowers.
How big was it, talking a lot of the off-season additions, but how big was it to keep a player like Kira Daniels, someone who potentially could have left? How important was that retention? I would call that a retention win. How important was that?
And that's exactly what it is. You have to retain, like, we're just the landscape of college basketball right now. You have to re-recruit your players. And it doesn't even matter. Like, you can have a great relationship and they can love it, but the bottom line is it's kind of a professional model now. And so grateful that Kira's back. She kind of, we refer to her as like the cornerstone or one of them. Like, Lacey Shea we're a big part of that. But Kira, it's like you Google like most coachable, like selfless basketball player, and she shows up. And she's a coach's kid. Her dad coached Division II ball for many years, and he runs a point guard college. And so she's been around basketball. So she kind of just is very professional with how she interacts, and her process is very pure in terms of how she studies the game and her nutrition and her spirituality and her recovery. And, so getting a kid like that to come back who, uh, got in some, she's battle tested now, because she got to go through the gauntlet of the Big Ten and go through that transition of like, oh shit, I'm on this stage now. Like,
Yeah.
And she's had some big games and some big moments. And so getting her back is great. And I'm not sure if like her status in terms of her injury or anything like that, but she's coming along really well, and we expect for her to suit up this year. And
we have to talk to her. Yeah, we got to talk to her a little bit at the open practice. Sounds like from her, she's kind of echoing what you were saying. Should be back, coming along nicely. Sounds like a great kid. Just getting to speak to her, Addie, and Teagan, all three of whom are incredibly well spoken. Great representation of the program, obviously. I want to ask you this. We have a Discord. I told her Discord, hey, I might be able to get Coach Bracey on. So several people submitted questions. I think it's a great spot to get into some of the new pieces of the freshmen. Badgerman asks, would love to know the impact of the Wisconsin freshmen. You have 3 of them, and then you have an international as well. I would love to start with Adeline Shepley, just because she's kind of in my neck of the woods, Rice Lake, Wisconsin. I live up in Shell Lake. She was you referenced her early, top 60-ish national recruit, 4-star kid, 6'3". I came away from that practice thinking that could be a potential star. I mean, I think it's early. I get it. She just moves a little different. Talk to me a little bit about Adeline Shepley.
She's got everything it takes to be a star. Like I've seen it before. It's uncommon. You don't have a lot of young freshmen that come into your program with the potential that she has, but she for one, she's a phenomenal human being, and she really has a good idea of who she is as a person. So a lot of times when you're young and you're a freshman transitioning in, you're still trying to figure out kind of like who you are and who you want to be. Shep is mature beyond her years. Like she has a great awareness of who she is, her strengths, her weaknesses, how she wants to improve on them, and taking ownership in that process. But she's so she has that, which is a key ingredient to a young player being successful. And then she has the work ethic to do it. She's, sometimes you get a kid who is a top talented kid and they haven't had to work that hard because they've always been better. Funny thing about Shep is like in every freshman, there's a major transition from my experience in doing workouts and practices in high school and AAU and doing workouts and practices in college. And so when Shep first got here, she would hit me up and be like, hey, coach, can we have an hour workout tomorrow morning? And I'd be like, sure. Like, I don't usually do my workouts based on time. I do them, I'm thinking in my head, I'm not telling her this, but I don't usually do my workouts based on time. I do based on what I want to get done and how I want to help develop you. And by the way, an hour seems pretty long to me for an individual workout, because if you're doing things with the level of intensity that's required to transition, an hour is too long, right? So I always thought that was funny, because she's just like, yeah, can we go for an hour tomorrow? And she just like had no idea what that would look like, because she hasn't trained in that type of environment. And I think gradually as we went on, it was getting shorter and shorter, and she's understanding now that like, hey, can we get a workout in tomorrow? And it's more like, let's just hit some stuff and get out of there so I could recover. But the first few times she got crushed. And it was just like, because an hour is a long time, but that just goes back to she's a hard worker. And these workouts would happen before, like, she had an hour weights, and then we would have practice. And so I think, she's understanding that she has to find a balance within it all too. So she's feeling healthy and feeling good. But so she's a great person. She understands who she is. She has the work ethic to go with it. She has the intangibles. So sky's the limit, man, for her.
If she, and I definitely want to hit on the rest of the freshman group and then get you out of here at a somewhat reasonable time. Again, I can't tell you how appreciative I am. But if she kind of unlocks the layers to her game, whether that's the consistent perimeter threat, maybe a little tighter ball handling, those type of things, is her ceiling is just a multi-positional defensive piece that can get out in transition, can score in a bunch of different ways. She just feels like the type of modern basketball player that every staff is consistently searching for.
Yeah, she's got a chance to be a pro because she really doesn't have limitations. Yeah, there's things she needs to get better at, but she's not like physically restrained with certain abilities and skills. So the sky is truly the limit for her. And how fast, she can transition, that's going to be up to all of us, I guess. We'll all have a piece in that, but I can tell you that she's a kid who has a really good process and understands what she wants and is willing to do what it takes to get what she wants.
And certainly not the only freshman you added. 2 more in-state players, Alicia from overseas. What is the expectations for this overall freshman class, and what have you seen from kind of those other 3?
Leah and G, they've like just loved them as players, loved them as people, but honestly, they've exceeded my expectations. Like, they have transitioned so smoothly so far, and I know we're in the honeymoon stage right now. The summer, it's but they you wouldn't know they're freshmen. Like, and I'm not just saying this, like come to another practice, come to a scrimmage. Well, there's no more left, but come in the fall. You wouldn't know that they're underclassmen. And same with Shep. Like, they're not wait my turn type of people. And you never know what that looks like until you get them on campus. But we told them from the jump, like, do not put yourself in a box. Like, don't come in here with this, I'm only a freshman and I need to move within this box and then I can transition out of that box. Like, we're creating an environment where, you should be, it's okay to struggle and it's okay to fail. So they are, might be our 2 hardest workers right now. Honestly, I mean, Shep's a hard worker too. She's right there. I know Leah and G, they're in the gym every day doing extra, as are most of our girls. But that would be my biggest thing on Leah and G, because like Shep, she kind of came in with the exposure, where Leah and Giselle might not have had enough. I mean, as much notoriety, but really, really impressed with how they have came in and competed and just been bold and brave and courageous.
I love this question from Mr. October. And feel free to answer this however you want. He says, this from our Discord.
Real quick, Alicia from Belgium.
Yes, Alicia from Belgium as well, who wasn't at the practice because she's playing.
She's with her, like, she's got national team obligations in Belgium. And what I'll say about her is I am a big fan of European basketball. And I got a chance to go to Prague and watch the World Cup last month. And I just love that style of basketball. I study it. And she's a kid who, it's crazy that she's not here, because you're just thinking like sometimes you forget to even throw her in the mix. And then you got a kid who's coming in who some people who've been around Belgium basketball for a long time are saying that, she might be one of the best players to ever come out of Belgium. And, she was being recruited by some really successful institutions. So we're really excited about her, and she's a great human too. So she fits that box, and it's crazy because you only play 5 people at a time, but there's so many players that are competing, and this is going to be really challenging to establish a rotation.
It feels like a deep roster, and it kind of goes to Mr. October's point in our Discord. Answer this however you want. Is there a feeling of, wow, we're light years ahead of last year, but since maybe it's not worth saying that and putting it out there, we're just going to kind of keep it quiet? You mentioned it just a second ago. Like in the summer, everybody generally feels pretty positive. Do you guys feel like this could be a big stepping year?
I think it's a tipping point for us. I think if you're doing things the right way, you should be ahead of where you were the year before. If you have, unless you had a mass exodus or anything like that, but we have enough of our core back, to where, like I hit on earlier on, we have laid a foundation of solid concrete, stone, whatever you brick, whatever you want to call it. And so we should be further along, if we're doing things right. And I do think we are. And that's not possible without Team 1 last year under the Coach P era. So it's such a tough league. We have such high expectations that we try to stay as present as we can, in our process. But we're just wrapping up the summer. Tomorrow we'll send the girls, we'll do like some team activity, and then we'll send them home. But I'm really impressed with this summer. Like, the one thing I'll say about this summer versus last summer is the organic connection seems to be ahead of where it was last year. Like, we haven't had to facilitate too much of, team time. They are, this past weekend, they all went to Chicago and stayed at Nikki Kirsten's house, and they'll all go to the movies. And I know this sounds like trivial things, but when you have your players hanging out with each other intentionally on their own, that's a really good sign, and they're one of the things our returners, I think Lacey and Kira came up with, maybe Shay, I'm not sure, but they got this bingo card where they all got to do different activities, or they have an opportunity to do different activities with different players to get to know each other better. And one-on-ones, like they're all supposed to do like a one-on-one hangout, whether it's coffee or lunch or something with each player. And they facilitated that all on their own. It's not something that we said, hey, maybe y'all should do this to get to know each other. So we spent the first week we got them, we spent 2 full days of laying out our culture and building our foundation. So we didn't do anything with a basketball for 2 days. And from there, we got everybody aligned with what this should look like. And they kind of had the tools to kind of build it. And they've just been doing a phenomenal job to this point of building that connection.
I love that. I talked to a coach once who said, I think our culture is worth 4 to 5 points a game. I think in sports, the more connected you are, the stronger the culture is. There's benefits that are hard to quantify, but they're there. I'm curious on this one. Plus Athlete talks about the fan base. What has the connection with the fan base been like for you here? Certainly winning obviously helps boost attendance numbers, all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else you guys are planning this year? Any community reach outs? Like, what does that look like for you guys as staff?
So we're kind of like boots on the ground. Like, we're just, no connection is too small or too little to matter. So We're all invested in this, like our entire staff, our entire players. So our mindset is to go out there and make connections. So we're not necessarily, and we have a marketing team, obviously, that facilitates the main push for things, but we as a program are also taking ownership in our own energy and our own connection. So, like we just did a clinic for a school last week where we're making connections. We just had a golf outing. Um, I'm, myself and our staff, and I'm having conversations with people as I just move in my daily life and just helping them to understand that there's a really great product in the making, and the difference maker could be the support of the fans, it's a tough thing, right? It's like what we were talking about before about the in-state talent. It's like, all right, I'm sure if you're winning at a high level and the in-state talent stays, like how do you fix that? Same with the fans. Oh, well, if we were better, then maybe we would come, but like, how do we, it'd be amazing if we can just get the energy in the Kohl Center and combine that with the kind of the work we've been putting in the last year. And I have no doubt that we'll tip this thing. So I think we need more fans. You go to other places in the Big Ten. Even when we play Iowa, like we played Iowa last year, and there was more yellow and black in the Kohl Center. And I get it because our fan base might have given up at some point, right? It had been 15, 16 years or whatever. But if this message hits anybody who if this message hits anybody, I just like to say how important the energy that our fans provide are to this team. And tell a friend, tell a family member, bring one person, like it all matters and it all adds up. And that can be a game changer for us if we can build that fan base.
Tori asks, where have you seen the most improvement on the defensive end with this team?
I think for one, IQ. I think we got some kids in this program that really have grasped some concepts quite naturally. Two, I think it's just going to be rebounding. I think there's going to be lineups where you can play Doria and KT at the same time, and Addie Shepley. And that's 6'3" across the board. That's switching everything. And so I think that's going to be fun to see, because it doesn't matter how good your defense is if you can't finish the possession. And I think look to see us be more aggressive and force more turnovers and create more possessions.
Coach, I've kept you on here for an hour. I usually do about 30 minutes. So you've already earned the Locked On Badgers polo that I'll send to you.
My man.
But any last thoughts? I definitely want to get you out of here. It's been an hour. Any last thought that I didn't hit on that you think is an important part with this team?
I think we hit on, a great amount of information. I would just reiterate how grateful I am to be part of a coaching staff that has the players with these type of heart postures and mindsets on our team. I'm just truly grateful to be a part of this journey with them and with our staff. And I'm excited about the ups and the downs that are yet to come, because we're training them, we're training them and training ourselves to navigate struggle together, and really excited about this group.
Tremendous guest as always. I really appreciate it. For everybody listening on Wisconsin, go check out the women's hoops team this year. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for that season to start. He is Coach Bracey, the one and only. I'm Ryan Herrings. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. And as Coach says, on Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.